Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show on with authors from all over the world. Are you looking for your next book to read? I think I've got something you're going to like. Look at, oh, pointed the wrong way. There it is. Anna's Shadow, written by Ingrid McCarthy, a Canadian author, by the way. And don't go anywhere because I think we have Ingrid right here. If I can click and find her, there she is. Welcome, Ingrid McCarthy, the author of Anna's Shadow. Now, is this your first book?
Oh, no, 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 no. This is actually book number 20,
20.
of which 18 have been published. And this one is book number 18, and it is my star novel.
Yeah. Now, before you were an author, you were in the theater business. Tell our
That's
viewers about that
that,
a little bit.
yes, that's correct. I ran a theater group for 33 seasons.
Oh
So
my
that's a
goodness.
long time with
Yeah.
over 57 productions. I was an actor and a producer and a director and had to organize my teams.
Yeah.
And I just love the performing arts. However, I also like to tell stories. And
Mm.
so everybody was telling me, Ingrid, you've got to write all your stories down. And I said, oh, no, no, I'm not a writer. First of all, also because English is not my mother tongue. And so that kind of made me a little hesitant to sit down and write because, like us Germans, because I was born in Germany, we make super, super long sentences, you see.
Okay.
So I had to get an editor and help
Yeah.
me chop my sentences up and tell my stories. And you know what? I love it. I absolutely love it because my theater is no longer operating. And so this, in a way, gives me drama in a book. I can tell my stories in a book, and I love it. I
Right.
really do.
Now, you tell us about your first book. You wrote a little bit about your theater days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when my theater closed, people were saying, "Well, Ingrid, what are you going to do with your time?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to write my memoirs." And when I sat down to write them, I said, "Oh, no, 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 I can't do that because I'll probably get sued, you see." So I twisted and turned everything and ended up with, let's say, 60% fantasy
Hmm.
and 40% reality, tell the stories of the happenings on stage and backstage, which were quite spicy.
Oh, spicy.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And I wrote those, it is a series of 4 books, and I wrote those under my pseudonym,
Okay.
Rose D. Franklin.
Okay.
However, then I started to write children's books, and I
Mm.
thought, no, I have to get a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
And from there, I developed into more adult material, first writing novellas and lately novels. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about this. I think it's your latest book, and it's big. It's winning awards. Here it is, Anna's
Yeah.
Shadow. Tell us about
Yes.
that book.
Yeah. Well, how it came about, did you ask?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That's quite an interesting story. Many, 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 many years ago, um, at a group of German friends of mine, we were all telling how we met our husbands.
Mm.
And this particular woman, she was much, much older than I was. She was telling me that during the war, a young officer was billeted with her family, and before he was sent to the front, she was not in the house, and there was an oil portrait of her hanging in the living room. And this young officer fell in love with her
Mm.
and said to the family, if I survive the war, I will come back and I will marry your daughter, which in the end he did. And they then immigrated to Canada, and that's how I got to know them. They have since died.
Mm.
And I always thought that is such a wonderful, wonderful story. That was way before I ever thought about writing stories.
Mm.
And then several years ago, I came across an article in the Oprah magazine, and it was about a Juliet Club in Verona, where the Juliet Club receives thousands of letters every year from heartbroken men or women seeking advice from Juliet, who of course never existed. And yet, when I read that story, I somehow, I don't know, it must have been the muse for writers or something.
Hmm.
That story of the officer came back to me, and I thought of a story of a young woman volunteering at the Juliet Club and receiving a letter from an older man who many, many years ago, at the end of World War II, when he was in the army, where he had met a young Italian girl only briefly through very, very traumatic circumstances. And he did something extremely heroic, but then never saw the girl again. And he was writing to the Juliet Club, hoping that someone will help him find this young woman called Anna. And because he was posted in Verona, and my fantasy just blossomed.
Mm.
And I wrote this story, which is quite dramatic. And it's a story that will rip your heart apart,
Mm.
but will heal it again also. And it's dramatic, but yet also uplifting.
Mm. What did you have to do a lot of research on the book?
Yes, yes, as a matter of fact, I did. I did not really know how the Juliet Club
Yeah.
operated, so I did a lot of research in backstories about the Juliet Club, about the manager who runs the club,
Mm.
and about the history of when it all started in 1931. And then also, um, I knew that Italy was part fascist and was also part loyal to the king. And I did not really know very much about what happened in northern Italy and in Verona.
Mm.
And as I did my research, I learned something too. And I said, oh my gosh, this all fits beautifully into my novel. And then from there, it took off. And a lot of my readers have said to me that I had opened their eyes to a specific section or part of World War II that took place in northern Italy,
Mm.
of which they had no idea, and neither did I. I learned myself. That's quite an eye opener.
I love books like that where I can learn about a place or an
Yeah.
event, kind of historical fiction, would you call it?
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. It is historical fiction
Hmm.
with a touch of mystery and a love story
Yeah.
as well.
And there's a lot of truth in it because what you write about Italy and Verona and the period and the
Yes,
Juliet
yes,
Club.
yeah, yes, 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 you're absolutely right. Yes.
Wow.
And I have to tell you, I've been told by a number of readers that they had on occasion to put the book down
Yeah.
because the tears were
Yeah.
coming to their eyes. And I then admitted to my readers that the same thing happened to me as I was writing.
Yeah.
I was sniffling. I was sniffling away myself, you see. And they say it's a good sign that if the writer is very emotional and even starts crying herself, that it is a very touching story. So,
By the way,
yeah,
I read and I read and I read all the time, so many
yes,
books, and I'm always having to choose my next book. So,
yeah,
one way to choose is by watching Briggs on Books because we have a lot of interesting authors. But
yes.
if I see a book with an interesting cover and some medallions on the cover for awards, I say, well, this makes it more attractive. Tell me about some of the awards.
Yes. One of them is the Reader's Favorite Award, where the novel gets critiqued by someone who is not a professional critique let's say, a reviewer, but a reader,
Mm.
because, and so it would be given to someone who who likes historical novels, and that particular reviewer gave me 5 stars. And as a matter of fact, I entered the book in the reader's favorite international book competition, and in the mystery historical
Mm.
fiction category. And just recently, the results came out, and I won a bronze medal.
Oh, my
You know,
goodness.
yeah, and that was an
Yeah.
international award. And then I have the what's it? I have to just check it out. It's the Literary Titan Book Award,
Mm.
and also got 5 stars. And the other one is the Pinnacle Book Achievement Award. And then I also received, it was just so much that I have lately received so many accolades that I can't put them all on the book. And one of them is also from
Mm.
Kirkus Reviews, and from pub, big, what's it got? PW, Publishers Weekly, and Reader's View, and quite a number.
Nice.
And they were also very positive, and it just makes my
Yeah.
heart just
Yeah, and
go bumpity
congratulations
bump.
on all of that. That's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
Ingrid, we're out of time. We've gone past time, but you're so fascinating. I wanted to keep talking to you. But any last thoughts? We have about a minute left. Anything you want to share with our viewers about your books or you or anything in the world for that matter?
Well, how should I say? I don't know. When I write, and in this particular book out, when I write, I would like to write a story that sticks with my
Mm.
readers long after they have finished reading it.
Yeah.
It should be a form of escape from daily life that will transport the readers into a realm of fantasy that is yet deeply steeped in reality as well, and to give them a good time.
Yep, that's great, both. I don't read a lot of fiction, but I'm going to read this one because I'm excited about the story, the
Oh,
backstory, the
oh,
research, a period that I don't know a lot about. So,
thank you,
I'm ex-
thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate so much talking to me and
appreciate
giving
it.
me this opportunity.
And for our
Yeah.
viewers, go order this book, but don't order one copy. Click 5 times. I always like to give away the books I'm reading, so we're all reading at the same time. So, Ingrid McCarthy, thank you so much, and I hope you'll come back again and again.
I hope so too. Thank you very, very much, Mike.
And for our viewers, don't go anywhere because we'll be back with another author right after this.